I have had an amazing experience talking to some amazing people about clinical research. Clinical research is a part of all of our lives. Let's talk about it. Well, it's good to have you. Tell me your name.
My name is Ethan Zahn. I'm new to Care Access. I literally just walked by but in terms of clinical trials, yeah, I'm a former professional soccer player and a 2-time cancer survivor. So while I had a rare form of blood cancer called CD20 positive Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so multiple rounds of chemotherapy, 22 blasts of radiation, and then I had to go through 2 stem cell transplants.
Oh my goodness. Can I shake your hand again?
Sure.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. You are amazing. And congratulations and God bless you and all of that because you are truly a survivor.
I am a survivor, definitely, yes. But while I was going through my battle with cancer, I was on a clinical trial. And so I appreciate, one, cancer research. 2, I was in a well-respected cancer institution in New York City, so I had access to all the clinical trials, and they brought it to me. But I can imagine if I was a patient, and this drug saved my life. Like I was one of the first 200 patients on this drug. It was produced by Seattle Genetics. At the time I was on it, it didn't even have a name. It was SGN35, soon to be Adcetris, but it was such a specific usage so this was, at the time, it was a bridge drug to get someone who had a failed autologous stem cell transplant to get them into remission so they could go on to get their second stem cell transplant. And so it was just that one little case.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky to have the opportunity to get on that clinical trial, and obviously it saved my life.
So you were in the right place at the right time with not the greatest diagnosis, it sounds like, but you happened to be there, and as you mentioned, that you had this access that a lot of others may not have had. What do you think made you be able to have that access? I mean, one of 200, you said?
Well, I am fortunate to have, been living in New York City at the time and being treated at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, which is one of the best cancer research teaching hospitals in the nation for cancer. So I think I don't know how the system works, but I'd imagine the larger institutions get access to the clinical trials and a full scope of, cancer diagnoses. So they brought it to me.
So if you could say one thing or propose something with regards to clinical research for the have-nots, what is something that you might suggest?
Well, I think in my case, there was a moment where, my entire team of doctors tried multiple ways of healing me that didn't work. And at that moment, that's when, as a patient, you panic. Mm-hmm. You just crave survival. And so, just lucky for me, at that exact moment in time, just when I needed the most, this new smart targeted therapy emerged in the market and was available for a select group of people in my exact situation, right? Yes. And so, for me, when I was in that dark moment in my life where I thought I was going to die, that's when you pray. That's when you pray for a silver lining, a ray of hope, a glimmer of light, a miracle. And what I always say is, do you know what a miracle looks like to cancer patients? It looks like successful research and new drugs. Right. And that comes from clinical trials. And if it wasn't for that, I would not be here today. And so I just always say, for me specifically, and I don't know how Care Access really works, but sure, I am so inspired by all the people in this world, complete strangers that are riding bikes, running marathons, selling cookies, to raise money to help fund a drug that saved my life.
Yes.
To me, that's inspiring. So for me to be on the clinical trial and share my story, and I'd imagine, my brief conversation with you guys is taking this to the segments of the population that need it most, is just a brilliant idea. It's fantastic.
So our whole mission is to try to make sure that there are other individuals who learn about us, who hear stories like yours, who don't run from the idea of clinical and research or clinical and trial being in the same sentences, because it can be a very scary place. And, I could ask you, so would you have been as open to it if you hadn't reached that dark moment in your life, or would you?
Would I have been as open to a clinical trial in those moments? I don't know. There was a traditional path for folks in my situation, but this was a new path. Like there was a curative approach to a traditional diagnosis of what I had. However, my doctors educated me on it and said, really positive results. My fear is that there was no long-term data on folks that were on this trial, right?
Right.
I was the first. So there's no 5-year statistics, 10 years, 20 years. So it's a shot in the dark for me.
Yes.
I could go with what they've been using over the past 15 years, or I could try something new. So it's a gamble.
Yeah.
And that was a big decision.
Yeah.
And it is always a big decision. But for me, knowing that whatever happened, good or bad, if I came out of this thing alive, the data and research collected through my participation would help other people in my situation later in life. So for me, that was enough, for me to kind of make the leap, I guess you could say, and trust that the work that these doctors do every day is saving the lives of real people like me, like a lot of people watching, a lot of people in your neighborhoods that you're taking care of access to.
I congratulate you, and I'm so thankful that you got the opportunity to participate and to live and to thrive and to come and talk to us.
I just hit 10 years. 10 years, yeah. So, that's hopefully another 10.
Wow, new lease on life. I love it. Thank you so very much. We really appreciate you, and enjoy the next 10 years and that 10 years after that. So.
I definitely will. Thank you.